One must discontinue being feasted upon when one tasteth best. That is known by those who want to be long loved. Walk away when you're at your high point. That's what he says. Don't, if you go up, if you're going up, stop here. Don't start this. Right. Sour apples are there, no doubt, whose lot is to wait until the last day of autumn, and at the same time they become ripe, yellow, and shriveled. In some ageth the heart first, and in others the spirit, and some are hoary in youth, but the late young keep long young. I'm not sure what that means, to tell you the truth. To many men, life is a failure. A poison worm gnaweth at their heart. Then let them see to it that their dying is all the more a success. I think that's self-explanatory. Right. To die a heroic death, even, no matter how much you suck at life, if you really do suck at life, then try to go for a heroic death. Go out like a Viking, right? I think that's good advice. I think that's the kind of advice that you would never hear a person give to another person, right? But I think it's something to think about. I don't know. I'm not advocating that you run around killing yourselves, by the way. Many never become sweet, they rot even in the summer. It is cowardice that holdeth them fast to their branches. Far too many live, and far too long hang they on their branches. Would that a storm come and shook all this rottenness and worm-eatenness from the tree. Would that there came preachers of speedy death. Those would be the appropriate storms and agitators of the tree of life. But I hear only slow death preached, and patience with all that is earthly. This is a criticism of Christianity. He's saying that for Nietzsche, the vast majority of people are mediocre and stupid, and the glorious few are the ones who are worth anything. And it seems like he's saying that we as a culture have adopted longevity as an unchallenged virtue, and that value judgment gets in the way of man overcoming man, right? That seems to be what his point is there. Ye preach patience with what is earthly. This earthly is it that hath too much patience with you, ye blasphemers. It's kind of a George Carlin line. Verily, too early died that Hebrew, whom the preachers of slow death honor, and to many hath it proved a calamity that he died too early. Gee, I wonder who that Hebrew is. As yet, had he known only tears, and the melancholy of the Hebrews, together with the hatred of the good and just, the Hebrew Jesus, then was he seized with the longing for death. Had he but remained in the wilderness, and far from the good and just, then perhaps would he have learned to live and love the earth and laughter also. Believe it, my brethren, he died too early. He himself would have disavowed his doctrine had he attained to my age. Noble enough was he to disavow. So, his criticism of Judaism is that it's depressing, basically. It's a slave religion, right? It's a religion that conceives of itself as ever in bondage, kind of. And he views Christ as coming out of that, and therefore Christ's teaching, that's all he knew, right? And therefore Christ's teaching takes on this depressive character, this character of wanting to turn away from the world. That turning away from the world is what constitutes Christianity for Nietzsche. So, obviously, he's saying, if only I had stayed in the wilderness, right? When he went in, I imagine when he went in his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, if he had stayed there, maybe he would have learned to love the world. This is the romantic in Nietzsche coming out, go to nature, right? Very German romanticism. Noble enough was he to disavow. Nietzsche really likes Jesus. This is a really interesting thing about Nietzsche. He has nothing but nice words for Christ as a man, and he has nothing but vitriol for the teaching. It's always strange to think that Nietzsche admired Jesus. Noble enough was he to disavow. If only he had lived a little bit longer, none of this mess would have ever happened, Christianity. But he was still immature. Immaturely loveth the youth, and immaturely also hateth the man and earth. Confined and awkward are still his soul and the wings of his spirit. But in man there is more of a child than in the youth, and less of melancholy. Better understandeth he about life and death. So that, as we grow older, the job should be to cultivate a playfulness and joy into the future. And that playfulness and joy, if that's not cultivated, your life is worthless, I think is Nietzsche's opinion. And Christ, he's saying, Christ was too young, right? He wasn't old enough to have cultivated that feeling of joy. It's an interesting thought. So concludes part 3. Look out for the 4th and final part in the next hour or so. Comment, subscribe, and have a good day.